Hey there, listeners, and welcome to Film Jot Reviews MidSommar. From director and writer of 2018's Hereditary, Ari Aster returns with his second film, MidSommar, which, again, like his first film, was horribly mismarketed. Before I get into my usual review shindig, I want to make it very clear that if you're looking or hoping for a traditional horror film with lots of scares and simple themes, then do not go watch this movie because your expectation will be ruined. This is not me saying that the movie is bad, just what the trailers present and what you get are totally, tonally different. Now, Midsommar, which I hope I'm saying correctly because it's not summer, it's not with a U or an E, it's with an O and an A, so it's Midsommar. Follows a young adult, Danny, who, after experiencing great loss, takes a trip with her boyfriend and his friends to a sacred Swedish family celebration. During the group's stay, they learn about a new way of life and tradition that may not be as wholesome as it appears to be. That is the best shorthand description I can give this movie without downright talking about it in a deeper sense, which doesn't do the film justice. And I don't want to compare this film to last year's Hereditary, but as divisive as that movie was, this movie makes Hereditary feel very mainstream. So if you didn't like that film, I doubt you'll enjoy this one. Personally, I interpreted this film as a reconstructed cult slasher film that subtly ties the idea of grief and mental illness and how that comes from but also affects relationships. We watch as Danny attempts to cope with tragedy and ride a line of how much we can expect others to empathize with someone. Is it healthy to dump it all on a partner in a relationship? And how open can you be to let others help with that pain? But even all that is mixed in with a revisioned approach of pagan ritualism, which I think challenges viewers to look at the ideas of if something is stable and emotionally healthy but has radically unnorm ideals, is it bad? This movie raises a lot of questions and spawns a lot of debatable topics, and it's not so cut and dry about what you should take or see within the film, if there's anything to take away at all. Much like Hereditary, this movie is a slow burn, just shy of 2 hours and 30 minutes, and the first hour is a slow paced intro of who are these characters and what sort of relationship do they share, plus introducing the remote Amish like village that we spend most of the rest of this film in, with bits of foreshadowing. And at the top of that first hour is when we finally get a taste of how these people are different. And their customs, although horrifying in a sense to normal people, is kind of justifiable on their end. However, even after the first shock, the film stays gradual. I can't say it ever really picks up, but we do start getting more shocking events and visuals scattered from that point on up until the end. But a lot of the in between throughout the film is just world building material. So much so that it's almost an information overload that probably could have benefited from having some focus or maybe watching it a second time through, because there are people and symbols and ideals that are reoccurring or foreshadowing, but it's not so obvious or simple to notice everything right off the bat. Even while getting this review done, I'm thinking of how something's tied together and if maybe I missed something that explains other events or stuff. There's just so much, and so much that, as I said before, is up for interpretation and discussion. On a technical aspect, this movie is shot well and has a lot of creative freedom to do and show weird stuff. This is a director that knows what he wants to do and present and has you questioning his decisions, not because they're particularly bad, but more of what does it mean, or because some things are cut and dry and others aren't. Also, a quick shout out to the performance of Florence Pugh, who plays Danny in the film. She's absolutely phenomenal, and it's a good thing too because she does carry the audience through most everything that happens. And Ari Aster just knows how to cast and get what he needs out of his leads in such an amazing and complex characters that it's upsetting to think that, just like last year with Toni Collette, Florence also won't get an Oscar nomination just because the genre of this film will be categorized under horror. Overall, this movie might be the hardest one so far that I've tried to review, just because so much of it relies on actually seeing it and how you personally interpret it. This movie is more in line to be discussed and not reviewed in a traditional sense. However, because of the themes and artistry plus the pacing, I can't recommend seeing the movie. Even now, I can't think of anyone that I personally know that I can recommend this film to. It's a weird thing, unlike much of anything else, that doesn't lend itself to a wide audience. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that, oh, if you don't like this movie, it's because you're stupid. No, that's not at all what I'm trying to say. It's just, this movie is such a weird standalone piece of art that it's very subjective, and if you walk away from the film saying it's slow and boring, well, you wouldn't be wrong. I'd agree with you to an extent, but there's things that I saw and took away with that maybe others won't. Kind of like how I don't relate to most characters and scenarios in things like a rom-com, but there's plenty of other people who do, and they attach and take things away from that viewing experience that I don't. This movie is kind of in that same way, just very niche. Although I did find this film fascinating, it's a tough watch, and not something I can do again in theaters. I need to personally pause and play the next time I decide to sit through this film. Anyways, there we have it, I guess. MidSommar. Make sure to let me know what you thought of the film over on Twitter at FilmJot or Instagram at film_jot. And thanks again to anyone for listening. Till next time, this is FilmJot. Stay friendly, you guys.